The air inside the shuttle was thick with anticipation, and something else, an almost unexplainable tension that gripped the crew even before they entered the portal. Commander Rhea glanced at her team, their faces illuminated by the flickering glow of the control panels. Each one was a specialist, handpicked for this mission to explore a newly discovered portal, a gateway to a universe parallel to their own. What lay beyond was unknown, but Earth's top scientists believed it was a golden opportunity. The countdown ended, the engines hummed, and the shuttle began its plunge through the shimmering, swirling gateway. The stars outside distorted, twisting into colors no human eye had ever witnessed. Deep purples bled into cold greens, and blue hues rippled like waves on a strange sea. The crew stared in awe, but unease settled in their bones. "It's beautiful, but wrong," whispered Lena, the shuttle's navigator, eyes glued to the viewport. Rhea nodded, the knot in her stomach tightening. "Stay sharp. We're the first humans to step into this universe. Let's make it count." The portal's exit spat them out into open space, but the familiar comfort of the cosmos was missing. The constellations were off, stars blinking irregularly, some brighter than physics should allow, others barely there, flickering like dying embers. The sky above wasn't steady black. It shifted subtly, sometimes darker than night, sometimes glowing faintly like a ghost light. The instruments registered strange fluctuations, gravitational waves pulsing unevenly, unknown energy signatures flickering near the ship. "We're detecting something," murmured Omar, the science officer. His voice was tight, eyes scanning readouts that seemed to twist and pulse on their own. Lena tapped the controls, trying to steady their course. "Sending scans back to Earth, but the portal is unstable. Data packets are delayed and weak." "Keep trying," Rhea ordered. Whatever's out here, we're not alone. The first night in this alien universe brought silence, except for the occasional crackle on the comms. But the silence wasn't peaceful. It was heavy, like the calm before a storm. Shadows moved in peripheral, fleeting glimpses of shapes where none should exist. The ship's AI, normally precise and clinical, sometimes whispered odd, broken phrases into the intercom, almost as if it were trying to communicate with something unseen. Jax, the youngest crew member, was the first to notice. "Did you guys see that? Something just flickered past a hull." Rhea's eyes narrowed. "Explain." "Like a shadow, but it wasn't a reflection or a trick of light. It moved against the flow of space." Omar shook his head. "Must be a glitch in the sensors. The environment here is messing with our instruments." But Jax wasn't convinced. That night, he kept staring at the viewport, sweat glistening on his forehead. Every time he blinked, the shadow appeared again, closer this time, as if watching, waiting. Suddenly, the comms crackled with a voice, distorted, faint, but unmistakably human. "Leave, now, danger." It faded out before anyone could respond. "Wait, what just happened?" Rhea asked, gripping the controls. The message had been in their own language, but no one had spoken. "Ghost signal," Lena suggested, brows furrowed. Could be an echo from another timeline or something corrupted by the portal. The crew's unease grew into dread as more strange phenomena occurred. The ship's gravity fluctuated, briefly dropping to near zero, tossing equipment and themselves into the air. The lights dimmed and flickered like a dying heartbeat. Time itself seemed to warp. Clock sped up, then slowed down unpredictably. Late one cycle, Rhea found Jax huddled in the corner, eyes wide with terror. "I keep seeing them," he whispered. "Figures. People. But not human. They reach out to me, calling my name." Rhea's mind raced. Was it hallucination? Space madness? Or something more sinister? That night, she had a flashback, an old mission she barely survived years ago, where an unknown entity had attacked her ship, leaving only her alive. The memory of the crew screaming, shadows swallowing light, surged violently through her. Could this new universe be like that? A trap? She pushed the thought away. "We have to stay focused. We're scientists, explorers. Fear won't save us." But fear had already settled deep. The ship's systems began shutting down one by one. Communications with Earth grew spotty, then cut off entirely. The portal behind them, still their only way home, flickered, then vanished. No warning, no countdown. Just gone. Portal closed. Lena said, voice trembling. We're trapped. Panic threatened to rise, but Rhea forced calm. We adapt. We survive. We find a way back. But deep inside, a terrifying question lingered. What if the portal had shut to keep them in? What if this universe wasn't just a place to explore, but a prison designed for the curious and the brave? The shadows outside grew bolder, creeping along the ship's hull like living darkness. The air grew colder. The whispers returned, this time clearer, louder, and unmistakably human. Leave, now or never leave at all. The screen blinked off. Silence swallowed the crew. Rhea's hand hovered over the emergency override. But her heart knew some doors, once opened, should never have been crossed. The crew barely had time to grasp the portal's closure before the shuttle began drifting toward a nearby planet, its surface unlike anything they'd ever seen. The landscape stretched out beneath them, jagged mountains carved from shimmering black stone, rivers that reflected not water, but a shifting liquid light. The atmosphere buzzed with static energy, setting every hair on their skin on edge. Omar's instruments, once reliable, now flickered and died in unpredictable waves. Systems are failing. The environment is disrupting all electromagnetic signals. We can't trust these readings, he said, frustration creeping into his voice. Commander Rhea narrowed her eyes as she scanned the horizon through the viewport. We need to explore, map what we can. The portal's gone. This planet is our new reality. As the crew descended in the shuttle's smaller exploratory craft, the air outside was thick and metallic, pressing against their suits. When they stepped onto the alien soil, the ground felt alive, pulsing faintly beneath their boots. Before them, ruins emerged from the mist, monumental structures covered in swirling glyphs that glowed faintly in the dim light. The shapes were oddly organic, like they had grown rather than been built. Lena approached the towering archway, reaching out to touch the stone. The moment her fingers brushed the surface, a shiver ran through her body, and the world around her seemed to twist. Time fractured. One moment felt like hours, the next like seconds. She blinked, disoriented. Time, it's not stable here, she muttered. It's slipping. One by one, the crew felt it. Days passed in the blink of an eye, while seconds stretched endlessly. Their watches spun wildly, their logs confused and scrambled. Omar's attempts to record data were swallowed by glitches and errors. The shuttle's clock contradicted the planet's, and even their own memories started to blur. Then it happened. Jax, already shaken from earlier shadows, wandered too far, drawn by a shimmering mist that hovered near the ruins. The mist was translucent but shimmering with colors that danced just beyond comprehension. Jax stepped through it and then vanished. Jax! Rhea shouted, but he was gone. No traces remained. No emergency beacon. Just the cold whisper of the mist where he had stood. Panic surged through the crew. They scoured the ruins, their flashlights slicing through fog that seemed to swallow sound itself. Suddenly, Lena's calm crackled with a voice, not human, but not entirely alien either. A rhythmic, echoing chant in a language they could not understand, yet it seeped into their minds like a song they had always known. Why do I feel like I understand it? Omar asked, clutching his head. It's commanding. Compelling. The crew's skepticism wavered as the whispers grew louder, their own thoughts beginning to betray them. Memories blurred, faces, places, events twisted and rewritten in their minds. The line between reality and hallucination blurred. Rhea's grip on command faltered. Are we losing ourselves here? Or is this place rewriting who we are? The shuttle screen suddenly flickered and a message appeared. The words were written in their own handwriting, but timed minutes before, a chilling warning. Leave immediately. This place is not what it seems. Wait, what just happened? Lena gasped, staring at the screen. It's us warning ourselves? Is this some time loop? Omar whispered, dread rising. Or a trap set by ourselves? The ruins seemed to pulse in response, the glyphs glowing brighter, as if feeding off their fear. Shadows lengthened, creeping closer. The whispers turned urgent, almost desperate. Rhea knew they had to make a choice. Stay and risk losing themselves entirely, or flee into the unknown depths of this distorted universe, hoping to find a way back. But the real terror was just beginning. The message had come from them, but from when? And if they couldn't trust their memories or their senses, who were they really? The screen blinked off. Silence fell. Only the whispers remained. The moment they spotted the ship, frozen in the fog like a ghost from another time, a chill ran through the crew. It was their own vessel, or at least a perfect copy. The hull was scarred and weathered, its once gleaming surface dulled by time and neglect. Yet, signs of recent movement were everywhere. Discarded equipment, flickering lights deep inside, the faint hum of life support systems struggling to stay awake. Rhea's voice barely held steady. How is this possible? Who else could have made it here? They docked cautiously, the airlock groaning open to reveal shadows crawling along the walls. The corridors were cold, lifeless, yet a haunting echo lingered, a replay of events trapped in the ship's memory banks. Screens flickered to life, revealing grainy recordings, themselves trapped, terrified. Each frame a mirror reflecting fear, desperation. Their own faces twisted in anguish, voices pleading for help. Don't trust what you see. One message warned cryptically. They aren't what they seem. The line between their reality and this other version began to warp. Strange hallucinations flickered in their peripheral vision. Lena caught a glimpse of a shadow that shouldn't be there. Her reflection smiling back with cruel eyes. Omar swore he heard whispers from empty rooms, voices mimicking their own. Wait, what just happened? Jack stammered as a sudden vision flooded his mind. A memory that wasn't his, a scream torn from another's throat. One by one, the crew's sanity began to fracture. Then, without warning, Malik, the quiet, steady engineer, stopped responding. His eyes glazed over, mouth twisting into a cruel grin. His voice dropped to a guttural growl as an alien presence seemed to take hold of him. Malik, Rhea demanded, fear rising. But he lunged, hands sharp and violent, striking without mercy. Chaos erupted. The crew fought not just for survival, but for the soul of their friend, now a vessel for something otherworldly. As Malik struggled against the darkness inside, his hands found controls. A distress beacon powered on. But the signal wasn't sent here, or to any rescue team they knew. It was broadcasting into their own universe, back home, to Earth. The implication hit like a punch. Their suffering, their terror, was reaching beyond this fractured dimension, warning or perhaps inviting something far worse. The beacon's pulse echoed in the silence as a possessed Malik smiled with alien malice. The question hung in the cold air. Had they already doomed their own world? Or was this the first step in a nightmare that had no escape? The moment the alarms blared again, the crew knew nothing was as it should be. The same warning, the same panic, the same crash. Again and again, time folded over itself, wrapping them in a nightmare they could not escape. One moment, Jax reached for the console. The next, the world shattered around him, and everything snapped back as if rewinding a broken tape. They died 100 ways, suffocating in vacuum, crushed beneath collapsing bulkheads, lost in corridors that twisted impossibly like living things. Each death was followed by the same jarring restart, the same fresh terror painted across their faces. Exhaustion gnawed at their minds, but every attempt to break free failed. Every solution reset before it could take hold. The ship no longer felt like theirs. Gravity betrayed them, switching from crushing to weightless without warning. Walls melted into shifting shapes, one moment smooth metal, the next organic and pulsating. Doors led to places they had never seen before, and shadows moved just out of reach. Then came the voices, soft at first, whispers curling through the vents in languages none could understand. But soon, those whispers grew into voices calling their names, mimicking their own words, mocking their fear. Lena's hands shook as she clutched her headset. Who's there? Show yourself. No answer, only the cold echo of her own voice returning distorted and cruel. Suspicion poisoned the crew. Were they all still human? Or had some among them been replaced, their faces masks hiding something alien, something merciless? Every glance was a test, every silence a trap. Wait, what just happened? Omar gasped as Malik, once calm and collected, moved with unnatural speed, eyes flickering black. He stopped abruptly, shaking his head as if waking from a bad dream. "We can't trust each other anymore," Rio whispered, voice breaking. "We're trapped in their game." Hours, or maybe days, folded into each other, time losing all meaning. Paranoia spiraled. A sudden scream pierced the loop, a raw, desperate cry of loss and betrayal. And then the cycle reset once again. But this time, something was different. Jax opened his eyes slowly, heart pounding. The room was still, but inside him, a storm raged. He remembered everything, the deaths, the betrayals, the terrors to come. His mind raced against the clock. Could he change the loop? Could he save them all? Or was this just the beginning of a far darker cycle? As the world around him blurred back to the start, Jax's eyes hardened. This time he would fight. The cold silence shattered when the walls of the alien chamber began to ripple like liquid light. Shadows stretched and folded, twisting into shapes impossible to comprehend. From the swirling darkness and glowing strands of energy emerged the entity, a colossal, shifting mass of brilliance and void, alive with a presence that seeped into their minds without speaking a single word. At first, the crew could only feel it. Emotions flooded through them, despair, hope, terror, and sorrow, as if the entity was pulling memories from their souls and replaying them in a blur of images and feelings. It was both beautiful and horrifying, a cosmic being that defied reason. Rhea's breath caught. She saw flashes of her childhood, the laugh of her brother, the last message she sent before leaving Earth. Then the images darkened, twisted into shadows of regret and pain. The entity wasn't just showing them their past. It was feeding on it, drawing strength from every fear and memory. A voice echoed inside their heads, not words, but thoughts and emotions shaped into understanding. "You have entered a prison built from the essence of explorers. Here, time is a cage and fear the key. We do not seek your destruction, but your surrender. Give us your identity, yourself, and you may leave this place. Refuse, and you will be trapped forever, becoming part of this dimension's endless hunger." The weight of the offer crushed them. To surrender meant losing everything that made them human, their memories, their feelings, their very souls. But to stay was to face eternal torment, lost in a place where time folded and hope died. Tension crackled through the air. Eyes darted, breaths quickened. No one dared speak. The entity waited, patient and merciless. Then, slowly, Malik stepped forward. His voice was calm but resolute. "I will do it. If this is a price to save you all, I accept." Shock rippled through the crew. Rhea reached out, voice trembling. "No, Malik. We find another way. We can't lose you too." But Malik's eyes were distant, already touching the cosmic vastness swirling around him. The entity's light engulfed him, tendrils weaving into his body, merging flesh with starfire. In that moment, the line between human and cosmic blurred forever. The chamber dimmed, the entity's voice now a whisper through their minds. One has merged. The path to escape narrows. The question remains, who will be next? The air thickened, crackling with tension as the crew huddled around the flickering console, eyes wide with a mix of hope and dread. Malik's sacrifice had left an imprint in their minds, fragmented memories and bursts of cosmic insight that felt both like a gift and a curse. Using this alien knowledge, they pieced together a desperate plan to reopen the portal, the only way back home. But the universe they had entered did not want them to leave. As the crew initiated the sequence, the very fabric of reality began to twist and shatter. Walls melted into shadows, and stars erupted in impossible colors. The ship groaned as space around them collapsed on itself, warping time and distorting their senses. Horror crept in the form of unseen creatures, whispering promises of oblivion, crawling just beyond the edge of vision. Lena's breath hitched when a clawed shadow lunged from the darkness. She fought with every ounce of strength, desperation burning in her eyes. One by one, the crew fell to these nightmares, not just physical monsters, but their own fears and memories turned against them. Every doubt, every regret was a weapon, cutting deeper than any claw or fang. Amidst the chaos, the portal began to shimmer into existence. unstable, flickering like a dying star. It was her only way out, but it threatened to tear apart the boundaries between universes. If it collapsed, both worlds would be lost forever. Rhea reached the edge, the swirling gateway pulsating with energy beyond comprehension. Only one could enter, and someone had to stay behind to hold the portal open against the crushing void. Her heart pounded, mind racing. She glanced at the remaining crew, their faces etched with exhaustion, hope, and fear. A single, crushing question echoed through her thoughts. Step through and escape, or stay and sacrifice everything? Time slowed as she took the first step, and then hesitated. The portal flickered violently, threatening to close. Her eyes locked on the abyss beyond. The fate of two universes balanced on her next move. The moment Rhea stepped through the portal, a hollow silence engulfed her. The hum of the ship's engines was the same, the controls familiar beneath her trembling fingers. Relief surged like a tidal wave. She had made it back, but as she turned, something deep in her bones whispered danger. The crew gathered in the dim corridor, but their eyes were vacant, devoid of warmth or recognition. They moved with mechanical precision, their voices flat, rehearsed. "Welcome back," one intoned, but the words felt like echoes from a broken machine. The portal device, the lifeline they had fought for, was gone. No trace anywhere. Rhea's heart sank. Questions clawed at her mind. Had she truly escaped? Or was this another illusion, a cruel mimicry? The ship itself felt different, colder, as if it were breathing with a hidden life. A flicker on the console caught her eye. The screen blinked awake and displayed a new mission briefing, cold and impersonal. Explore Universe X-43. Immediate deployment required. A cold shiver ran down her spine. Was this another trap? Another layer of the prison universe tightening its grasp? Or the alien entity's newest form? Ever more cunning, weaving realities like a spider spins its web? Rhea's breath quickened as the ship's systems began to reboot, the engines thrumming with renewed energy. She looked out the viewport, and her blood ran cold. The ship floated not in familiar space, but in an endless void, speckled with countless glowing portals, doorways to countless other worlds and perhaps other traps. The void stretched infinitely, silent and watchful. Rhea's voice cracked as she whispered, "This is just the beginning." The camera pulled back slowly, the ship shrinking into blackness, swallowed by a sea of shimmering gateways, each promising a new nightmare. The screen faded to black, leaving the haunting question lingering. Had they ever truly escaped at all?